Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Love of Business at prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. My name is Guy Dawson, and I am your host. And I am here with my good friend Jim Lorden. He is with GlobeCon Consulting, and he's going to talk about why he is in love with his business today. Welcome, Jim.
Well, thank you very much, Guy. And yes, thank you for calling me your friend. I agree with that very much so. For the love of business, with that comment, there is nothing more exciting than being in business. I come from the corporate world for many, many years, and there's a lot of things that I learned in the corporate world. One of the things that I did learn is not how to is not how to treat people. So, being in my own business and being with other business owners, I really see the passion of how business owners really want to provide and give back. So I love this part of my life. The first 40 years was in corporate, but now I've transitioned into being that business owner like yourself.
Yeah, and you were mentioning your corporate background. Do you want to go into some of that background and how that has led you to where you are today?
Well, certainly I can do that. My very first job, my very first gig was when I was 17 years old in Los Angeles, California, and it was a Baskin Robbins. So 31 flavors was my first job. I was asked to get a white shirt, and I got to sew my little 31 flavors button onto or patch onto my shirt. And that's where I learned customer service right out of the gate. And my heart goes out to service individuals, our staff, our servers that deal with that day to day, moment to moment, hour to hour, minute to minute. But as I moved up into the corporate ladder, I got away from those kinds of things and moved into the entertainment field. Also moved into events and conventions, meetings and conventions, the audio visual or event technology side. And so constantly being in a place where I was providing a service, and if that service didn't go well, there was a lot of conversation. Being in meetings with high level individuals was certainly at that point where you got to kind of question if you should ask that question or make that comment for fear of some of the chatter that might happen at the end of the meeting and those kinds of things. But I spent over 4 decades in the corporate business, starting at 17, and enjoyed a lot of it. And like I said, I was a very enthusiastic individual. I liked people. I liked interacting with people. But you learned how to manage up. You learned how to manage down, and you certainly were aware of your reputation on and off the court, so to speak. And so it was very interesting to me. And when the pandemic hit, obviously the meetings and conventions business took a dive, especially here in Las Vegas, and it gave me the opportunity to reinvent myself to a business owner. And when I met with people like yourself, it really got me excited. And so I ended up buying into a franchise, the Alternative Board. It's under my parent company called GlobeCon, which you see on the screen. But one of my major focuses is bringing business owners together at a roundtable and talk about the challenges, what keeps you awake at night, so to speak. And we talk about all kinds of different things. And as I've been in these board meetings and talking to business owners, nothing is off the table. From the things that drive people crazy as business owners, to the relationships with their families, to where do they go when they have nowhere else to go or turn to or talk to. So my corporate life gave me a good basis of understand the fundamentals and the principles, the profit and loss statements, P&Ls, knowing that revenue is important and how to get there and how to maximize your efficiency, your operational significance, your sales abilities, the sales cycle. There's so much history from the corporate world that just natural transition into be a business consultant for business owners. It was really simple for me.
Did that surprise you that a lot of the skills that you developed in the corporate world were so transferable and that you've been able to incorporate a lot that into being an actual business owner?
Wow, that's a great question. To be honest with you, and I love being honest with you. It's easy to be honest with you. Honestly, I didn't. I did not see that until I started to investigate, and people came to me and started to talk to me about the options that I had, at the ripe old age of a lot. And they started to identify that I really had a skill set that did transfer into that. And now maybe I thought so, but there's nothing like being vindicated. There's nothing like somebody saying you're good at this and this is something you should look at. And so, to be again honest, no, I didn't. And it was folks like you and other people that influenced me into realizing that I definitely have a skill set in this platform.
And of course, the story that you're telling right now, Jim, is very common with the pandemic having shifted everyone's lives in a dramatic way, or many people's lives in a dramatic way. And you have a lot of people who were in that corporate environment like you were accustomed to for many years. And now you are out in the entrepreneurial world. So good things, bad things, what is it? I mean, I know you have a love for what you do. You and I have been working together on some incredible projects. I mean, I
Absolutely.
love what the alternative board is all about. And but now that you're in this entrepreneurial world where you have to go and create your own paycheck, it's definitely a different approach. What's that been like for you in stimulating your love of business?
Wow. Again, another great question. Let me start with this. One of the things that I did as a corporate individual, I recognized long time ago that I wanted to keep my money with my local vendors. So in the business that I was in, I always had opportunities to bring individuals, especially in the meetings or concerts, production world. You don't own all the stuff. You don't have all the people. So when you have events that are larger and greater than your capabilities, you had to reach out and speak to other vendors. And one of the things that I learned very quickly is that the relationship was the most important thing. And I didn't grind my individuals that I worked with. I didn't grind the amount of money that they charged. We had conversations, and obviously we got to a point where it was best for both of us. But I really wanted to keep my money local, and I didn't really understand why I wanted to do that. It just seemed like the right thing. I didn't want to reach out to the people 200 miles from me or 400 miles. I wanted to make sure that I reached out to the individuals first because it seemed to be the right thing. Now that I'm the vendor, now that I'm on the other side, now I know what it means for individuals who shop me, who look around and try and find the best deal and don't take into consideration the hard work that it takes before the sale, the hard work that it takes to present your options. And so when somebody back in the 70s told me, I'm dating myself, of course, there was a big store in Los Angeles. It was called Federated. That's where they started, the
Huh.
Federated
I
Group.
remember Federated on
Yeah,
Federated. Boy,
yeah.
that's taking it back, Jim.
And so what you wanted to do was you went down there and you looked at all the cool stuff that they had, all the great speakers and stereo stuff, all the electronics. And then after you figured out which one you wanted, you took the time to have a salesperson pitch all the good things. And then you went home and you bought it online. I didn't feel good about that, but that was kind of the methodology people had. Go to Federated, touch it, and then go find it for $10 less. Well, now again, I'm that Federated guy or that Federated group, and I'm here to say that there's so many things that are beneficial to utilizing the local market. One is at the back end, the service, the customer service that you're going to get. I remember buying something and it went wrong. It was needing to be fixed very quickly, a warranty. And I went to the store and I said, "Hey, I bought this thing. Uh, Yeah, or no, what? I didn't go to the store. I went online and said, "Hey, I've got this thing. Where can I take it locally to have it looked at?" I think it was a TV or something, or whatever it was. And they said, no, that's not an option. You need to box it back up and ship it back to, the mothership, and then we'll look at it, and then whatever's wrong with it, we'll fix it if it's under warranty, of course, for free. If not, then we'll have a conversation, and then we'll ship it back to you, and you'll pay for the shipping both ways. And I thought to myself, wow, I didn't think that all the way through. But when I work with somebody in a local market, when I work with a business owner, they're so dedicated, they're so committed to doing the right thing because their reputation is online. Their reputation, their relationship, they'll do, obviously within reason, of course. We're reasonable people, so let's just keep that in mind. But the fact of the matter is, it's the back end of the local individual, the local business person. They know that you're going to speak to your friends, your family, your neighbors. People don't necessarily speak well when they have the opportunity. But if something goes wrong, people have a tendency to share and shout it from the mountaintop. So we don't want to have negative press, negative social media, because people have a tendency to really emphasize the negativity, and very seldom do people want to share the positive. So I'm a big fan of taking surveys and giving good scores when good scores are necessary. I'm a big fan of having conversations before things go completely wrong. So I'm a fan of communication in this realm, and uh, those are the kind of bullet points to your question. I'm sure there's more to it, but it really is a face-to-face relationship. Would you talk to your mom that way? Would you talk to your dad that way? Would you talk to your friends that way? But we have a tendency to talk to other folks in business that way. And so I'm here to share the positive message that being in business is difficult enough, but I think there's also a good cause and a good case for being loyal to our local businesses, to mine, to yours, to those around us. And I love that mentality from you. In some ways, you're my hero with all the things that you do. I don't know how you sleep with all the things you're touching, but I like the mentality, the positive outlook.
Well, there was a couple of things that you touched on that were really significant for me there, Jim, when you talked about your reputation precedes you, and being able to stay in business in a particular place. Yes, people definitely measure. Uh, they're much more quick to share about your shortcomings than they are about your successes. That's for sure, and that's kind of part of what the rolling with the punches in business. But the one question that I had for you is, let's talk about the work itself that you're doing
Okay.
with businesses. I know you and I, as I had mentioned before, have been doing some excellent work with you being a consultant through the Alternative Board. What is that like in terms of inspiring your love of business, just sitting down with business owners and doing the types of one on ones like I've experienced with you so far?
Well, again, another good question. So the alternative board under the helm of GlobeCon, because there's a couple other things that we do, but that focus is to help the people that we work with recruit good employees. We want to have a hand, if necessary, to show business owners the proper way of evaluating employees, recruiting employees, retention of employees. We really want to be part of that piece that treats employees very, very, very well. Um, the other piece to that is making sure that the business owner achieve their personal visions, get to a point where they really have a goal. They got into this business for dot, dot, dot. And so my question is always to these business owners that I work with, in what ways can we dot, dot, dot? And that means so many different things. Maybe it's increase growth. Maybe it's increase profitability, increase sales, which increases profitability. Maybe there's a need for a strategic plan and how to figure it out. Um, sometimes sometimes it's about somebody wanting to transition out of that business and give it to somebody who's worked in that business as their second in command, and offer that to them, or maybe transition one of their family members into it. So there's that exit strategy that we work with business owners, because sooner or later you have to hand off the torch, and hopefully there's a mentorship program, a coaching program internally in this business, so you just don't turn around one day and look behind you and, oh, who's going to take over. That's one of the things that I learned in the corporate world very, very quickly. When you strive to move up, you were required to mentor somebody, bring somebody along, because when you exited that chair to move to another chair or move up in the corporation, who's going to fill the chair that you have? And many, many times you couldn't move up until you found that individual. And obviously the people that you worked for would recognize that you were putting somebody in there just so you could move up. So there was always a plan on replacement. There was always a plan on bringing somebody along. And that's what we do with business owners. Help somebody come along and get a strategic plan on how they're moving out, moving forward, growing, whatever the case may be. um, Improve the operations. Being a individual that knows the sales process, I certainly understand the 360 degrees of a sales process, and making sure that there's a good opportunity. It doesn't matter what widget you're selling, it really is a process. And then I also have a even greater strength, probably my bigger strength, is in operational significance, in looking at a situation and trying to identify the maximum efficiencies. What are we doing right? What are we doing completely wrong? And what are we doing that needs just a more improvement? So um, that's some of the things that I can do in my experience. And then with my business partner, Dagmar, as well, she also brings so much knowledge to the table. And when you work together, we have an ability to really bring some significance to business owners. And again, from their day-to-day business, that bleeds over, and it does. It bleeds over into their personal life as well.
Yeah, and there's a perspective that you touched on that is significant, and that is for small business owners. My experience, having been a business owner for many years, is that there is sometimes a limiting belief that small business owners have, that they can't incorporate that corporate culture that you talked about, and that is transitional teams, really seeing beyond just running your small business as if this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And I think that's one of the challenges that a lot of small business owners have, Jim, in terms of their business dying with them. And I
I,
see it over and over and over again, where you have a long-term small business owner who passes away. Maybe they have kids and they try to leave the business to their kids, and the business just dies in the next generation. And I think a part of that is that lack of that corporate thinking, that a person who's been engrossed in that type of an industry for you many years, understanding that corporate thinking. I think a lot of small business owners can greatly benefit from getting a better understanding. That's why you see some small businesses go on to become great and they last beyond the time when the founder created them, but the majority just die once the founder's gone.
You're very wise in that observation. I think that it's important to realize, like you said, the founder, and I love that, the founder, and we all have an expiration date. We all know it. It's just how you deal with that transition, and we must bring others along. We must impart our wisdom. It is so important to give that sense of what I did right, what I did wrong, the changing environment, the changing dynamics of the business world. I think it's important for us. Absolutely. I don't care what you're doing, small business, corporate. We need to share and impart the wisdom that we've gained. It is wise to seek many counselors. And as you're moving up and creating this empire, whatever you want to call it, your business, uh, what do you do at the end of the day? At the end of the day, and it comes, and unfortunately, it comes like a thief in the night, so to speak. You don't know; it just comes. And so, yes, you have to have that replacement, duplicate. I need to duplicate myself. Now, I love you and I have talked about this. You do that all the time. Well, you constantly have individuals that, and that's kind of fun to take somebody like an intern and then meet that person that you've worked with. I just met this last week, met an individual that was an intern, and now he works for a corporation. And it's fun to see how he has taken the wisdom that you've imparted to him and moved that into another location. And he speaks highly about you when you're not in the room. That's the goal here. At the end of the day, we would love for people to speak highly about us as business owners when we're not in the room. And trust me, that would be a great goal. And sometimes we actually get there. Sometimes we actually do get there. But to your point, reproducing ourselves, duplicating ourselves is very, very key for the longevity for the next generation and the next generation after that. Really, do you really want your business to last 20 years, 30 years? Oh, if you're lucky, maybe 40 or 50, and then you're done? No, you want Guy Dawson Incorporated in your grandchildren and great grandchildren in their time frame. So, I'm not sure I need a statue, but I'd like to be remembered past, my lifetime. That would be pretty cool.
And in terms of being a consultant, Jim, I mean, I know that you're someone who really likes to train and really likes to teach, and working with these boards that you're developing at Tab, is this feeding your interest? Because this show is really about doing what you love. And I mean, is this experience that you're having meeting all these small business owners, is it feeding your love of business?
Oh, yes. Let's just say yes, and let me back it up. Let me give you the end, and then do one of those cool movie things and give you the history to get to that. So yes, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, you've seen the enthusiasm and the passion. How did I get there? Well, I just didn't show up one day going, "Oh, I think I'll do that." The time it took, the preparation it took, the seeking wisdom from many people took me almost a year to find out that my personality, I took, personality test. DISC was one of the personality evaluations that I took to find out what fit for me. What was it about me that makes me happy? And as we went down these processes, there was a long list of opportunities that I could have gotten into, and I'll skip all that. But at the end of the day, when I got into this and I went through a intensive 2-day process of talking with the owners, and the actual owner and the executive committee for Tab, there was a lot of hard questions and vetting out, do you fit and do we fit? Is this a cog in the wheel that comes together? It's obvious that the Tab mothership, so to speak, the Tab corporate office, very talented people, absolutely. Obviously, I think I have talent. I've been told that I do. So there's plenty of talent in the room. The key here is, does the talent come together as a team? And that's really where the money, the rubber, the enthusiasm, all those things that we think about as owners, that's where the rubber meets the road. Does the team work? And I'll tell you, in the corporate life, in the family life, in the small business life, if you don't have a team that works well, that's going to be a problem. And so, to answer your question, yes, yes, yes. but it took a long time for me to make sure. And then as I've gone down this road and gotten away from day one, and now I'm into day whatever it is, it's not been a long time. I think it's almost a year now, or pretty close. The fact of the matter is, it's still just as exciting and passion filled as day one. And that's really what we want, is a new day. As business owners, it changes every moment, every day. It's so eclectic, and you just never know what's coming. And that's what drives me. I'm a person that loves change. I like change. Change is good. It's a good thing. You're only as good as your last thing. What's next? What's next? So that's me. Not everybody is like that, and I understand that.
It's been really interesting hearing your perspectives on why you love the business that you're in, Jim. And for those out there that are going to be watching this podcast or might be watching it right now, how can they get in contact with you for your consultation or to possibly become a part of the alternative board?
That's great. You can certainly go to globeconconsulting.com. If you like. You can definitely look for me on LinkedIn. It's Jim Lorden. You can certainly, if you've got a pen, I'll repeat it a couple of times. It's Jim at globeconconsulting.com. So that's JIM, globeconconsulting.com, just like it's spelled here on the screen. And if you really have, find me on LinkedIn, you certainly can reach out to me there as well. That's pretty much it. I'm very accessible, very, very much open to just sit and chat. Let's not forget that it's okay to just sit and chat for a minute and talk about things. There's no harsh sale. There's none of those kinds of things. It's just, let's chat and see if the cog in the wheel comes together. And sometimes it does, and it's amazing when it does.
And I know for a fact that Jim is someone who is very committed to the success of others. And when you get in this type of a collaborative environment where you're seeking a consultant, I think it's really important to find a person with that type of passion for business or that type of passion for your success. And so, Jim, I wish you nothing but success with the alternative board. I love the things that we're working on together, you and Dagmar and I and the other members of the alternative board. And yeah, let's just keep moving forward and displaying our love of business with the world.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, sir. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the invitation. And if there's anything that I can do for you or the folks that are hearing this, reach out, let me know, and we'll figure it out. It's really not that hard.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning into The Love of Business here at prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. The lovely Miko Faith will be back for the next podcast. But again, tune into more shows here at prconnectionsradio.com. We have the Power is actually going to be broadcasting later today. And the Voices of Humanity show is coming back on the network. Stay tuned for updates about these shows at prconnectionsradio.com, also on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, and our page on Twitch. Have a wonderful day.
Peace.